Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while since we've had a chat due to holidays. Just a reminder, please put your first, last name, and email address into the chat box so that way we can send you any follow-up information. We will begin as soon as it starts slowing down with everybody that's coming in. A question of the day. Let's think. How was everybody's time off? Did anybody get time off for the holiday season? I got lucky, and ECPAC actually gives us the week from Christmas to New Year's off, which is very nice because a lot of centers don't get that. And being in centers all my life, well, there was only one center that ever did that, and that was Goddard. So it's nice to keep that flowing. I hope some of you all had some time off too. All quiet again today. All right. Got Nicole coming in. Hi, Nicole. Okie dokie. Let's see. Well, people are starting to, I think, come back from vacation and stuff and remembering we have chats. So it's kind of slowed down, which is weird. 2 minutes in. I'm sure more will start coming in. But if you guys want to, remodeling your bathroom, trying to, Rosemary, that's nice. It's always nice to have a change of scenery in your house, huh? All right. I'm going to.
Jim and Jamie got sick right in the middle of it, so we didn't get it finished. Got the floor in. Got the floor in the bathtub in, but the bathtub area we didn't get that in.
Oh, bummer. Well, you'll get there. It's a time process.
Yeah.
Poor Bree ended up with COVID. That's never fun.
Oh, wow. I heard I've got about 4 or 5 people that I know that got COVID too. Wow.
I got it last year during Christmas, so I was thankful I did not get any recently during holidays, knock on wood, now that I said that out loud. All right. Well, it has calmed down. I'm going to give the floor over to Susan Flood. And if you would like to introduce everybody, or you guys can introduce yourselves that are in licensing, that'd be fantastic. And we'll start going in. Thank you, guys.
I'm Susan Flood, and I'm a lead licensing specialist, and my area is primarily Thornton. And I'll let everybody else introduce themselves.
I'm Mary Foster, and my area is part of Thornton, Aurora, Strasburg, and Bennett.
Hi there.
I'll go. I'm sorry, Kathleen, go ahead.
Oh, I'm Kathleen. I'm licensing specialist, and I do Adams County only, Thornton, North Glen, Westminster, Brighton. Those are my main areas, and a little Aurora.
And I'm Nicole. I'm actually new, and so I have parts of Weld and Adams County. Mostly, let's see, Commerce City area for Adams, Erie, but I'm still learning my area, so still in training.
I'm Jonah. My territory is not much Adams County, but it's kind of that northwest Denver piece up there.
Okay, so hopefully I can share my screen. These are the questions that you guys sent to us in regards to your licensing questions. I'm going to run through them and answer them the best I can. If you have any sub questions or clarifying questions, please feel free to speak up. Licensing specialists, if you feel like there's something important that I missed that you feel should also be added to what I've said, feel free to chime in. And I have this document that I wrote out the answers to that I would be happy to share with Amanda after this, so that she can send to you guys, so you can reference in the future if these questions come back. So the first question was, you all can see my screen, right? Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. Does having an experienced license change the rules about how many children under 3 you can have? Yes, it does. So one thing I just wanted to go over with you is what defines an experienced childcare provider. An experienced childcare provider is a home that is licensed for childcare, which is approved for no more than 9 children of different age combinations, depending upon which option the home is operating. So here are the 5 different options you can operate under. And so if you're going to have more, and please keep in mind that the designation is not children under 3, like the question asks, but the range is the number of children under 2 allowed. And after I answer this question, I'm also going to give some clarifying things that has changed with this. That isn't affected in rule, but they've applied a waiver statewide for all providers. So you can see there's different options here. If you're caring for 9 children, 7 of those children can be birth up to school age. There can only be 2 additional school age children in this scenario, and 2 children under the age of 2. And of those children under 2, no more than 2 can be under the age of 12 months. So I'm not going to go through all these different options. You can look at option 4, where you can have up to 3 children under the age of 2. Then you can only have 3 additional school age children. So just the point being is the numbers vary depending on the number of children that you have in care. So you just need to refer to this table option. And that table is in Rule 707.22 F4 if you need to reference it. The state has given a waiver statewide because of the lack of early childhood for infants and toddlers to change this number of children under 2 allowed to number of children under 18 months allowed. So just substitute 18 months for this under 2, and these numbers then apply. Does that answer that question for everybody? Yeah, okay. How will licensing be involved or with the requirements with UPK? We will not. UPK is separate than licensing. If you have any questions about universal preschool, you should be going to the website for it, and I've listed it here, or you should be asking your local coordinating organization. That's your local contact for UPK. And then here is the website to find your local coordinating organization. So they are the go-to person for universal pre-K, and that's who you should ask your questions to, not licensing. The next question, can you go over the protocol for a child left alone and how long alone does one need to report the incident? Licensing doesn't make this determination. There's no specified amount of time alone to report a lost child incident. Anytime a child is not directly supervised, then this incident should be reported to your county protective services. CPS will make that determination if that referral meets criteria for it to be accepted and investigated upon. They will either accept the referral for assessment or they will not. What licensing will ask you for is that referral number that we can follow up on that demonstrates that you placed the call to CPS, and then we can follow up on the outcome as to whether CPS did or did not accept the referral for assessment. Anytime a call is placed to CPS, we immediately get notified, but you still are required to send to licensing in writing that you've made a report to CPS. So please make sure that you always do that so that everybody is on the same page and proper follow-up can be taken care of. And I've provided the child abuse and neglect hotline there for you. And I've also given you the rule that indicates when you're required to make a report to CPS. Again, there is no time frame. It can be as little as 30 seconds. But again, we don't make those determinations and there is no defined timeline. If you have a concern or allegation, report to CPS and follow your mandated reporter procedures. If a school has a one-on-one aid provided by the family, does this aid need all requirements, background checks, and training? So not sure what the situation is with the specific situation at hand, but all staff and volunteers need to follow all background checks and training requirements as rule dictates. An aid provided by a family does not negate this. The questions that you'll want to ask yourself in making these determinations is, what is the role of this person in your program? Are they a staff person? Are they a volunteer in the program? Are they a visitor? The answers to those questions are going to help dictate the rules that you need to follow. If you have any specific situation that you need to talk to your licensing specialist, reach out to them. They can ask those clarifying questions to get the best answer to you. But just because the family says, hey, this is the person that's working with my child, that doesn't come into rule. The next question was, can you explain the mixed ratio rule? Childcare ratio is for a mixed age group is 1 staff member to 10 children. Keep in mind that a mixed age group is only for preschool children and above. So 2.5 to 6 years of age is typically the range where a mixed age group is being utilized. If 20% of the group is composed of younger children, you have to follow that ratio of that younger children. So if you have a group of 4-year-olds and it's a group of 24-year-olds and over 20% of those 20% or more are 3, then you have to use the 3-year-old ratio, which is still, again, 1 to 10. If 20% are 2.5 to 3, then you need to follow the 1 to 8 ratio. You always have to follow the stricter ratio. Again, that 20% rule only applies to preschool age children. It does not apply to toddler children. And all of that is listed in 702-46A14, and then 702-46A14A. So make sure that you read this yellow portion and apply that to your situation, because that's what usually trips up programs. Director renewal, what are the college courses needed? There's two pathways to become director qualified. You can either become director qualified through that traditional coursework of taking all the ECE classes. If you're going to do that renewal, you'll want to look at 702-43D2B and look at 2B. And centers operating more than 6 hours a day must complete a 3-semester credit hour course from an accredited college or university every 5 years in a subject related to the operation of a center, and must be able to demonstrate the relationship of the course taken to the operation of the center. It does not need to be an ECE course. It could be a psychology course. It could be a business administration course. It could be, it could be almost anything, as long as you can demonstrate the relationship of the course taken to the operation of the center. You need to be able to demonstrate that relationship. It could be a psychology course. It could be a HR course, all different kind of things. A lot of people think it has to be an ECE course. It does not have to be an ECE course. The last question we got was, what are the rules and regulations for cell phones in a classroom? Consult rule 702-41E. When caring for children, staff must refrain from the personal use of electronics, including but not limited to cell phones and portable electronics. So you cannot use your cell phone or any electronics for any personal reason. If you're tracking attendance on ProCare or something like that, or the equivalent of, that's fine. If a child is using an electronic device because they have some disability and that's needed for them to communicate or whatever, that doesn't count in this room. But personal use, not at any time. And then just my end, always consult with your licensing specialist with specific questions about licensing rules and regs. They know the intricacies of your own program and know the details, and they're going to be able to best answer your question. So I'll leave it open to if you guys have any other questions, and let everybody else chime in.
I saw one recently. I'll just bring up and see if you have an answer for it. If a school is turning their infant room into a young Todd room, so say 12 months to 15 months, what all do they need to change besides paying for a new license change and all of that? Is there like specific rules for that or anything?
So can I get, so this is a perfect example of when you should be talking to your individual licensing specialist. My reason for that is you had mentioned in your question, it was 12 to 15 months that they wanted to change from an infant to a toddler. So your infant classroom is in a center is from 6 weeks to 18 months. The toddler room is from 18 months, or it's from 12 months, I'm sorry, to 3 years, 12 months to 36 months. So they need to make a determination if they want this room considered an infant room or a toddler room, because it could be one or the other. So if they are changing and they're changing the type of room that they want it to be from infant to toddler, then they will need to submit a change in license type, pay the change fee, have the health department come out and do an inspection of that room. And then licensing would need to do an inspection of the room, whether it went from toddler to infant or if it went from infant to toddler. Does that answer everybody's question?
I believe so. There's a question in the chat I will read. Are there any new trainings that family home providers need to take, such as working with mental health?
No. Family home rule hasn't changed like they have for centers. I expect when they open, they may, but that's not in the works at this point.
Sorry, I'm trying to think of some questions for you too when I was a director, what I had in mind, but I was always really connected with my licensor, so I just asked her off the fly too. But if anybody else, if you're not comfortable putting it in the chat for everybody to read, you can send it to me as a direct message and I'll say it out loud. But other than that.
And providers know that, you know, if you have if you don't agree with what your licensing specialist has told you, chances are that it's simply miscommunication, either upon the situation or the rule between both parties. Just try to re-clarify with them. I always try to put things in writing so that that clarification can kind of be felt out if there is miscommunication. But you always have the ability to submit a stringency waiver if you think a rule has been misapplied. And there are processes and procedures to go through if you need additional information. But first work with your licensing specialist because they're the ones who really know the intricacies of the situation at hand.
I know this one's another weird question. I'm sorry, Susan. And I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure it's clarified. If a parent comes in with an infant sleeping in their arms, can the provider take that infant? This was a weird question I had once.
Yeah, most definitely. That child should be put in that child's crib immediately. That child should not be left in the car seat because that's not an approved sleeping device. And so hand off that child to the care provider and that child should be put in his crib. And no blanket in the infant rooms, period.
I haven't had any other questions. Does any licensor want to say something maybe that they've seen a lot lately and just give some hints of what not to do or good tips of, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of something good. I apologize.
Susan, you might mention about the admin guide, just so they get more clarification.
Why don't you do that, Mary? That's awesome.
I don't have the link available if someone wants to put that in there. But there is an admin guide on the website that goes over rules and gives a little bit more definition to each of the rules. If you have questions about rules, you can go to that admin guide and see if you get a better understanding for the rules.
I'll put it in right now. I'm pulling
Okay.
it up.
Great.
And I'll
thank-
put it on, Amanda, I will also put those links on the Word document that I'll send out to you. And then you can have it.
Perfect. And then that's been updated since the new rule change, right?
They're still working on it for centers. A lot of them you can, the rule number will be changed, but it's, the guidance is still usually correct. You can follow up with your licensing specialist if you see any contradictions or have any specific questions. But for homes, yes, it's totally updated.
Thank you.
And you guys want to make sure that you don't try to print that out because it is updated sometimes daily, weekly, monthly, and it's a big document. So it's better just to have the link and go into it.
I will also share with you guys, and I will also put this link on the Word document that I have, especially that if you go into our website, the Department of Early Childhood website, you go to the For Providers section, you go to the Licensing Rules and Regulations section. In the middle of that screen, you will see a link that says New Center Resources. If you click on that, and then you click that link that says click here, that will bring you to a Google Doc folder, which is the same Google Doc folder we use to get our forms to do our inspections for you. You will find forms related to your license type. So make sure you only go into the folder for your license type. If you're a child care center, go into the child care center folder. If you're a home, go into the home folder. And then you'll find forms that you can audit yourself with, or forms that can help you, like provider help, your health forms, your child, if you want to audit your child files, those forms, your staff files, those forms, the cheat sheet on what are the required trainings, cheat sheet on how you're director qualified, cheat sheet on how your your early childhood teacher qualified. So there's really a lot of great resources in there that will help you stay in compliance. There's also a great checklist to do an audit of your home, and what we look for when we come and do an inspection at your facility. Now, it's not all encompassing of all the rules. It's just meant to be a tool, but it can really help you stay in compliance. So make sure that you look at that. And again, I'll put those links on the Word document for you.
Could you guys explain what would go into an emergency bag? Or what's required in an emergency bag?
I would refer to your emergency preparedness training and what they suggest in there. You should, have any basic needs, a first aid kit, maybe some water, food. You'll want to make sure that if you have a child on medication that they can't go out, they can't leave with or whatever, or oxygen or anything like that, you want to make sure that you take those supplies with you, along with your, emergency go bag. So you might just want to have that prepped and ready. You definitely want to have a list of your children's names and their contact information. and probably emergency contact information as well, so that you're able to contact the families and care if you need to leave. You know, a blanket, or, you know, to stay warm, or any other suggestions from you guys, feel free to chime in, but those are my first thoughts.
If it's an emergency situation, you just want to make sure you're taking some way to communicate to, a cell phone or something like that with you.
There is a question in the chat. It says, I've heard that many specialists are asking for paper documents when we have early learning ventures core. Can you look online each time since we pay for this service?
Yes, you can. Any person can look, a licensing specialist can look on ELV. We've all been trained to do it. I would say that the only reason why a specialist wouldn't do that is if they didn't know you were on ELV. So if you're on ELV, make sure that your licensing specialist knows that, and they can check that and should check that if you're on it. And we get training from ELV, and we can access everybody in the state.
Just a quick note on that too. We do have access on PDIS to look under license numbers, as long as everyone has connected themselves to their license number, or if they're with the school, have connected with the license number as a teacher or a director. We have access to review those courses.
So I know the answer to this, but since we have other people on here, when you're an in-home provider and you need to send in your credentials, what is the process to getting a letter of our verification?
You always want to go through PDIS to get that, and go through that formal process request. I can put those links on here as well. If that team needs our assistance, they'll reach out to us to do it. But you should do the formal process and reach out to the team. So I'll give you guys that link.
Okay, another question. If a director doesn't have the link to approve their My Employees tab on PDIS, how do they go? Do they go through the PDIS help desk? Are they supposed to ask their licensor for help?
They can go to either.
Okay, and if they're still having troubles, is there a certain wording we should use with PDIS help desk for that one, or?
No, Yeah, I don't, it shouldn't be a problem for anybody. I'm trying to think, there was a time where they have to verify, we have to verify them as the director, and then we can click that different accesses. And sometimes they haven't listed their center as their center, but short of that, it's pretty straightforward, and everybody's been trained to do it. All of your licensing specialists should be able to do that, and a licensing specialist knows to go to their lead if they have issues with doing it. And so that shouldn't be a problem anymore. I know for a while it was, but it shouldn't at all be a problem anymore. If my share my screen is still on, which I think it probably is, I'll do a new share. And show you guys right now. So if you go to our website, rules and regulations, this is where you'll find in the center here in the blue, the third option down, the administrative guides for regulating childcare facility. And then there's these different guides. So click on there, and that's where those administrative guides are. That new center resources is in the same area. Click on here, and that's what this click here is that I've been talking about. Takes you to our Google Docs. And so I'm going to show family child care homes. You have access to all of these resources, and you can pull them out and use them to your needs, which is a great tool. This is the exact same place we go to get these same documents. There's no difference.
I really love those too. I've been giving those out to providers as centers and in homes. I even look for documents myself just to keep up to date with everything.
Yeah, and they will change. And we're directed the same way as we direct you. We are told, do not save any forms. Go to the website and get the current form. They change when we get feedback, if things aren't as clear, to people. So they're constantly being updated, revised, when we get feedback from the community, and we try to make it as clear as concise for everybody involved. Homes here, I'll show you right here, this FCCH visit checklist. This is a great tool to look through, and I always encourage my home providers, anytime you're cleaning your home or doing your end of the week stuff or the beginning of the week stuff, go through this checklist and make sure everything's covered, and you should be in really good shape for a visit at any time if you do that. But again, it's not all the rules, so it's just a tool.
So I was wondering if, oh, sorry, go ahead, Susan.
Here's the health evaluation too. Get asked all the time. They used to send the health evaluation with your continuation notice. They no longer do it, but it sits right here, and you can pull that down and do the health evaluation for anybody, for any provider in a home. You have that right there. Go ahead, Amanda, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off on finishing all that because those are great tools to tell everybody about. I was gonna see if you guys wouldn't mind talking about provider and licensing relationships so we can help and lessen the fear and anxiety. So for example, what happens if they ask questions on a call like this? Will they get a surprise inspection? Will they be marked down for just asking questions? You know, everybody's got the fear of you guys, and I'm trying to take that stigma away because I enjoyed my licensors, all of them that I had. Actually had Nicole at one time at a whole different county. And I just try and make a relationship with you guys so then I can ask hard questions and not feel like I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for a stupid question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we make no assumptions on the questions that being asked, and we don't. So please ask all your questions, ask clarifying questions. If you disagree, say you disagree. Let's get that, whatever needs to be clarified. We want you in compliance and safe just as much as you want to be in compliance and safe. There is no tallying of anything. Everything is a unique situation. And what question and what situation is today is going to be different than tomorrow. It's a moment in time. You're not penalized at all, and no questions are tracked at any level. So ask, please ask away. It's okay. And it's okay to say, I don't understand, or can you explain this to me more? Or, that doesn't make sense to me. If why in this situation was it this way, and now in this situation it's that way. Specifics matter, and it can change an answer. I'll give you an example. I had a provider just the other day ask me question about hours for an early childhood teacher. But the way she posed the question made me answer the question in one way versus the other. And after a night of sleep, I recontacted her and I said, I know you asked me this question, but I really think you were asking me this question. And if this is the question you're answering, then this is my answer. And it changed the answer. And that was the exact scenario. So please have those conversations. Please ask clarifying questions. You're never in trouble for asking a question. A question does not equate non-compliance at all.
I have to say that all of the licensing specialists have done childcare before, so we've been in your shoes and we are not judgmental. And we're there to help. We're there to get you in compliance, make sure that you don't have any, problems with children getting hurt. I mean, we're there to help, not to judge. We don't walk in saying, what can we find today? We walk in and we find something. It's like, this is something that needs to be fixed. That's it. Let's fix it. So at least that's my attitude.
And you're not in a licensing violation is you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. You're not bad. It's a non-compliance item that needs to be corrected, and that's it. Jonah or Nicole, if you want to chime in on that, you're welcome to chime in.
Sure. For us, it's a teachable moment for the provider, just like a teacher would be for a student there. When they ask a question, it's a chance for us to make sure we're on the same page with everything, to share some knowledge with them. And it gives us a chance to continue to build that reciprocity with the provider. So we're happy to help, and we're here to be more of a partner than we are to be some kind of fear monger over your program.
I completely agree. I think that relationship is very important, and that, that we're here to help you. We don't want to go into that adverse relationship or, have adverse licensing actions happen. So we want you to call and ask questions, before we come, and And if we don't know the answer, we'll find out, because, someone like me that was out of the field, but coming back, I'm still learning lots, but, I'm not afraid to ask, and we can ask questions together if we have to.
And we're all lifetime learners. And we grow from you, and hopefully you grow from us. There's a reciprocity, I'm probably not pronouncing that there. And that's what we want, and we want to learn from you too. So it's a two-way street, and communication is a two-way street. We want you to be the best that you can be, and we want to just reduce risks as much as possible.
I have a weird question. I apologize for the noise in the background. My cat feels like that she needs to climb on everything while I'm on this call, and wants to be a part of it. Hopefully she's okay. Anyway, when you are a director and you have owners that are kind of more in control of, some owners are hands-off a lot, some owners are hands-on. So you have a hands-on owner and they decide to not report something, but you as a director know they should, but you're out of state and you're on a vacation and you don't have the means necessary to make that, and you weren't there when the situation happened. I'm trying to think of what my question is, but it kind of gets frustrating that the director takes the straight hit for that, when the owner is the one that made the true decision. So is there a way to maybe help that said director in that type of situation? Or some ideas to get those owners to understand licensing better? Yeah, sorry, I hope that made sense.
It does. And I think that happens, that can happen a lot, right? Ethics plays a strong role in all of our jobs. Being ethical, and doing things with fidelity, and not just saying you're doing it, but actually doing it matters, and it matters for the health and safety of these kids. So if there's a situation and you have an ethical dilemma, you need to look at that, and you're going to have to make you're going to have to answer some hard questions to yourself. One, file a complaint with licensing. But before that, I would say try your best to work with your licensing specialist, work with the owner to get really clear clarification of what needs to happen in that situation. So if it's a mandated reporting situation, you're a mandated reporter, report it. Report it immediately. That's the most important thing that you need to do, period. Don't risk your career and your livelihood over the decisions of another. There's plenty of other jobs out there in this field that you can take. But if it is just understanding a rule, work with your licensing specialist to get the details of that rule. Make sure that all parties are clear on the situation, and then see if we can do some technical assistance and training to get whoever it is, whether it's somebody below you or above you, to all be on the same page, because we want what's best for children. But if that's not an option, filing a complaint with the department through the complaint line is an option. Always, if it's a mandated reporter situation, report it, period.
Even if you're not in the state when it happens, or have been around what happens, it was a hearsay situation.
If you know about a situation, and an allegation has been presented, you're required to report it. They may or may not take that because it's secondhand, but you still need to report what you know to CPS. Kathleen, Jonah, you guys, can you chime in on that? I think it's important that they hear from all of us on that question.
So several years ago, I worked for a school district, and risk management decided that they didn't want their employees reporting to human services, making a report, that you had to go through them first, and then they would do the reporting. And I had talked to my staff and said, that's not the way it is. Like, reports are, nobody will know that you made the report. Contact risk management if you need to make a report, and also make the report yourself, because if it comes back, they're not going to say anything to risk management. They're going to come back on you. So I guess it's the same thing with owners, that you may get in trouble with the owners, but it's better to get in trouble with your owners because you reported than to lose your livelihood because you didn't report something. And also, if another child gets hurt because you didn't report it, then you have to live with that guilt too. So sometimes you just have to do things that you don't want to do just because it's the right thing to do.
Remember your NACI ethical, your code of ethics for early childhood.
I would kind of tag along with that. If you're ever in doubt about reporting something, just report it. That way you cover your own behind, and making those reports too, you're being an advocate for children, and that's why we're all here. So it's important that you do so.
You need to remember too that everything is kept confidential. We're not going to be explaining who it is that filed the report. You know, as much as possible, we keep everything confidential, so that your name doesn't come out that you're the one that called it in. We would know, but the owners or other people within the company may not know who it was.
Great, great, great question.
Can you tell it's happened to me?
Well, you know, unfortunately in this field, we see a lot of hard situations, and we as professionals need to step up. And I certainly have been involved in many, and it's hard, you know, so it's hard to sleep at night sometimes, but you're a professional. We expect you to be a professional, do the right thing. And reach out to your licensing specialist. We're here to help you and guide you through those tough things. So.
And then to piggyback off of that question, are owners required to take any trainings to own a childcare facility? That's such a bummer. I feel like they should.
No,
Sorry.
yeah. And so, yeah, you can find yourself where an owner does not know the right rule. And you as the director, you might need to do some TA. Again, lean on your licensing specialist and let us help you help them. No judgment. No judgment, honestly. And I know that's easy for me to say.
Well, it looks like we have about 5 minutes. So if anybody else on the call has a quick question, or any of the licensors have anything else they want to say, we can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to remind everybody, please put your first and last name and email address in the chat if you haven't already, so that way I can send you all the fun information that we just went through too. And yeah, I will leave the floor for 5 more minutes.
It looks like Nicole put her email address. All of our email addresses for Red Rocks is our first dot last name at rrc.edu. I have a teacher ask how I can reach out to my specialist when I don't know who my specialist is. Does licensing share contact info with teachers? No, we don't usually, I mean, we will. I mean, anybody who asks our contact information, we'll give it to them, yes. I believe on our website also is the zip codes that each and the counties that each licensing specialist has. So the state is divided by county and zip code. And then a licensing specialist has that zip code for all licensing types. So you can always look at that, that list to find out a licensing specialist name and contact. We will answer anybody's question, whether they're a teacher, whether they're a director, whether they're a parent, whether they're ECPAC, whoever it is. So give it out as much as you want. And that's a-okay. And I will put that link again on the Word document.
Susan, I believe there's a link out there too that has our email address and our cell phone numbers on it. That's available to everybody in the public too.
So if you want to share that with me, Mary, if I'm missing it, then just shoot it over and I can, if you guys want to add any, maybe what I'll do is I'll share this document with you guys before I send it to ECPAC, and then you can add whatever you want to add as well to it. Right. But really our website, I get that it's a huge website and it has tons of information on it. Most every one of your answers is going to be on that website. If you need to know, hey, I know this is on the website, but I don't know where to find it. Can you send me the breadcrumb trail where I can find X, Y, and Z? Ask your licensing specialist. I do that for my providers all the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody that came on this call. Thank you, licensing specialists. We really do appreciate you and love that we're able to make a connection like this every once in a while so people can ask questions and not feel overwhelmed to ask individually too. Sometimes it's easier to have somebody else be the voice.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah,
not a problem. But yeah, we want the best for you, you guys. And we know you have a really hard job. And we appreciate the work that you guys do every day. And we know you have a lot to account for. So thank you for everything that you do. You're awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And this was a great time, and I learned more things too. So that's nice if I ever go back to being a director or a teacher. You never know these days. And then Susan will send me that information and I will send it out to everybody like I normally do as a follow-up. And we'll go from there. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.